Okay, Swampwatch 1/6/20. We're at the Watchman page. For the new people, I was called by God in 2014 to this work. He showed me several things. Uh, First ever worldwide economic collapse, the draining of the swamp, the worldwide swamp, and the exposure and the eradication of the worldwide satanic pedophile ring. Our goal here is to warn as many people as we can, as quickly as we can, and get them prepared for what's coming. I don't monetize the videos. I don't charge any fees. I don't accept any donations. I'm not selling anything. The reason I decided not to do those things, even though it would have been nice to have a little bit extra money coming in, is because I didn't want anybody to question the motives of why we're doing what we're doing. These motives are pure. If you want to look at the balance sheet, um, you know, it's been tough financially because there's work that I haven't done so that I could focus on this. I had a hemorrhagic stroke in March as a direct cause of this knowledge of the pedophilia and what they're doing to these kids and internalizing all that. Having said that, and I've said before, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it's the most rewarding. And I'm not telling you these things because I want you to feel sorry for me. I'm telling you these things because I want you to understand where I'm coming from. These things are real. These things are happening in the world right now as we speak. So I feel like there's no more important work that anyone could be doing at this particular time besides getting ready for this. Worst case scenario, banks close, power goes off, grocery stores are out of food, there's rioting and looting in the streets. That's worst case. They're expecting when they arrest, and they are going to arrest hundreds out of Washington alone. Obama, Clinton, they anticipate when they make those arrests that there will be civil unrest. They think massive civil unrest. I don't think it's going to be that bad. We got a little glimpse of it, I think, last night with the Golden Globes, and I hope all of you have seen by now the Ricky Gervais opening monologue for the Golden Globe Awards. It was masterful. I spent a lot of time today thinking about this because you have to remember, at this point, the swamp, the deep state, still controls the mainstream media. They could have shut this down. They knew what he was going to say going in. I think they let him say it. Well, it's one of two things, and I don't think, this is a possibility. If when this is going to go down, especially the swamp part, they're going to probably declare martial law. It's like a 95% sure thing, I think. When they do that, they're probably going to seize assets. They're going to probably seize the media, all of the media outlets. Maybe shut them down and just have one source. Maybe it'll just come from the president. We'll see how it goes. So it could be that that maybe the white hats this is the precursor to everything going down. I know we're close, but I don't think that. I think that they let it happen because they want to soften the blow. They're trying to normalize it. So in other words, if all of these famous people, you saw them all on camera last night, pretty much everybody they showed, pretty much, is going down, going to be executed for murdering children. If they can normalize it, and these faces that we've seen for years, that people have idolized, people like Tom Hanks, that the public won't be as outraged when it comes to Obama and Clinton and the Bushes. Basically these are just the minions here. The people that they used to control us. It's a classic since the Second World War. Project Mockingbird. It was basically to take over the media to inundate us with propaganda and get us to think, train us. Basically what they were doing is training us to think the way they wanted us to, by using celebrities and newscasters and the news itself. Well, it's not going too well for them. I honestly couldn't believe what I was hearing when I first saw this thing. Totally blew me away. And then, I got to thinking about, he didn't just spring this on them. They have rehearsals for this stuff. Everybody knew what he was going to say, at least everybody in the show, right? So it would have got back to the handlers, whoever that is, for I think it was NBC. So they would have known, the deep state would have known exactly what he was going to say before he said it. But they know if the arrests are imminent, and this is something else that makes me think that the arrests are imminent, because they would rather have it go out like this in their environment that they control than just for the general public to get blindsided. And the first thing they hear is, Hanks and Obama and Clinton and Bush have all been indicted. And the charges, which are obviously going to come out, it's kind of the same thing. They're using a kind of something out of our playbook, which is planting seeds. That's kind of what they're doing here. They're planting seeds on the other side. That, hey, pedophilia is normal. It's more like homosexuality. Not even close. But that's the way they're trying to portray it. You'll see, I've noticed over the last couple of years, 2 to 5 years, different articles that have come out from academia trying to normalize pedophilia and saying that it's human nature. Abusing children isn't human nature. Abusing children has no place in God's world. You know what the Bible says. Tie a millstone to their neck and throw them overboard, basically, is what God thinks should happen to pedophiles. And something similar is coming for them. That's one of the reasons that this has taken so long. People keep asking, well, how come, if we know all this stuff, how come it's taken so long? Well, a couple of things. First off, they had capabilities. They were pretty powerful at first, especially. They had a lot of assets. I think mini nukes. They had bioweapons, and that's one of the things that supposedly this general was supposedly in the final planning stages, right before it's supposed to go, and some kind of a bioweapons attack that looks like now it's been obviously stopped. Um, but also, the other stumbling block is that, these people now, I mean, this has been going on for a while. Both sides have been talking. Everybody's seen the boots on a lot of different people. That's not a coincidence. They were been trying to figure out. I think pretty much everybody in the top 50 that's going to go down has been at some point either incarcerated, forced to jail to for whatever they were going to do, without actually serving the indictments. So more as a negotiating deal or questioning. And of course, all these swamp, deep state, they're wanting to cut deals. And they're not getting any deals. It's flat out no deals. If you've committed treason or if you've murdered anyone, they're cutting no deals. If you're guilty of those crimes, you're going to be executed. They're flat out told them. If they're convicted, and they're all going to be convicted, the evidence is overwhelming. Nobody's going to escape justice. So I think, they understand that if it comes down to the law, that they're all done. Their only hope is to turn the tide with the general public. And this is actually probably a better tactic than anything else they've tried, than the Russian collusion or the Ukrainian crap. There's some merit to, but the problem is you're trying to cover a mountain with a paper towel. You're trying to hide a mountain with a paper towel, basically. There's no way to, at this point, convince people this late in the game that it's all right. These things are really no big deal. Witches are cool, and that's going to be their tactic, and hopefully get enough people riled up in their support and thinking that it's really not that big a deal. They're just attacking us because we're political enemies. That's going to be their defense. That's what they're going to try and do and use to rally the liberals. To basically, they're trying to start a revolution, a civil war. Now, it's not going to happen. And this is why the pedophilia is the mother of all bombs, because we're starting to see, this is huge. I can't tell you how huge this monologue was. Everybody needs to watch it several times. It's worth watching 4 or 5 times, because every time I watched it, I picked up something new. It was brilliant. You're going to see this film for 100 years. They're going to play this over and over again. This is going to be like the probably on the mainstream, the first in your face, we're coming for you take on the pedophilia. And he crushed him. Brilliant. The way, the whole flow of it, everything he said was spot on. And looking at their faces was priceless. They didn't know what to do. Even though the handlers, I think, they knew the whole script, right? I think that most of the people there knew that he was going to take some pot shots at them. I think they probably put the word out, hey, they kind of knew the tone, but you could tell by their faces they were not expecting it to be that bad. And you can imagine these people have had the media fawning over them for 50 years, all as part of this agenda. So to be attacked with the cameras on them was something they're not used to. You can see it when, and they're going to start seeing more of this, these guys who are always in front of the camera, spouting the mainstream media crap in interviews. Look what happens when they get the tough questions. Look what happened to Prince Andrew. You know, he thought he was going to just, you know, do his normal puff piece interview, and look what it did. I mean, that was another huge one. This is bigger. Gervais is bigger because we got the cameras on these people to see the reaction, and the words just were beautiful. Couldn't ask for anything more. I keep saying it. I couldn't write a better script. I mean, it was unbelievable. Awesome. So, because of this, it just, now, you know, the internet was on fire today. They tried to scrub this thing. You know, the 2 or 3 videos I tried to pull up on that had already been removed. But it's too much. They can't keep up with it. They can't hide it. And which makes me think that they have to be close. If they weren't close, I think they wouldn't have allowed them to do it. I think they allowed them to do it because, hey, let's get it out there a little bit. That's always their game plan. Put it in front of us so that they can diffuse it, right? It happened with the Hillary Clinton snuff video, Frazzle Drip. The New York PD found it on Weiner's laptop. Remember, right before they cleared Hillary, they had to admit that it existed and that there were emails on it, and then they kind of shoved it under the rug. Remember, there was like 600,000 emails in like 3 days. Oh, we went through it all. It's all good. Nothing there to see. Well, that video was the main reason they wanted to say that they had that laptop and there was stuff on it. The New York PD was threatening to take it public. And I don't know if you remember, but at the time, there was a case in New York where a couple of, a suspect died when they arrested him. It was something to do over cigarettes, and it was kind of a ridiculous deal, but they threatened that they were going to bring federal charges against the police officers involved if the PD didn't drop the investigation and keep quiet about the video, the Hillary Clinton video. And there's many more on there too. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Epstein ran a honeypot for Mossad, Israeli CIA, basically, and our CIA. Hundreds of the most powerful people in the world. Newscasters, executives, government officials, politicians, judges, the Pope, all involved. The scope of this thing is what's going to blow people away. That, you know, when I got into this, I thought, you know, maybe there's a handful of people around the world doing it, and in the church or whatever, a few elites maybe. Thousands. There was 15,000 involved in the NXIVM sex cult. And that's like down here compared to, you know, as far as the things they were doing. It was mostly consensual, and there's some younger girls, but it wasn't like babies and toddlers that these monsters are abusing and murdering and torturing for the adrenochrome they get out of their blood. They drain their blood and they drink it after they torture them to death. That's basically what's going on. it's not just pedophilia. This is ritualistic uh, Satanism. They worship the devil. Think about think about trying to sell that. And I've said this over and over again. I know a lot of Democrats that we lost as friends. They will never vote for another Democrat again when they find out what's really been going on. They can't sell this. There's 3 to 5% that'll be on board with this crap. But 95% plus is going to shun them, is going to, and just think about this, if you not only getting blindsided by this, and that's just, say, conservatives are going to have a hard time with this. Think about the people that have been supporting Obama and the Clintons and the Bushes for the last 30 years and how they're going to feel. And especially the ones that have been warned in the last few years about what these people have been doing, and they've ignored it and called us tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. Think about how those people are going to feel. You don't think they're going to be rocked by this? I think that people will commit suicide over this. Especially people on that side will commit suicide. They're going to find it hard to face the friends that they have attacked for trying to warn them about this. Just think about it. If you're a decent person that was just misled, maybe even you're spiritual, you're a Christian, maybe, there, that fell for this crap, the liberal agenda, right? Not the Satanism. I know when I know it's going down this road. No one I know they're gonna be with us, and that's what I keep saying. This is going to unite the world like never before. It's going to unite our country like never before. We, on the conservative side, we have to take the high road here. We have to set the example for everybody else that there's no hard feelings. That if we have American citizens who need help and obviously most of them are going to feel pretty bad about how this is all playing out, the thing that's going to drive them to the brink is then us attacking them. There's no room for that right now. The cognitive dissonance is already going to be at epidemic proportions. To then pile on these liberals that are now starting to see the light is not the right thing to do. We're all Americans here. We have to understand that, we kind of bear some responsibility for this too, because we kind of allowed this to happen ourselves. Everyone I think could see where our educational system was going. And it was way before Common Core. It was not good. And it happened. And we didn't do enough to stop it. And that's why most of these kids today think the way they do, because they're brainwashed. They got from kindergarten through college the full treatment of all of the tricks that they've learned over the last 60 years, how to make this work, how to get people to do what you want, how to lie, cheat, steal, manipulate to control the world. That's what it's all been about. This whole global warming hoax, not a shred of evidence. In fact, when you look at the evidence, they've been lying about it for years to make it fit the scenario they needed to use it against us. And look what they're doing. Think about this. India and China are pretty much exempt. They can do whatever they want. and then we're going to pay for it. And basically America was going to pay for it. That was the scam. Just like we were with the UN, just like we are with NATO, all those games are coming to an end. NATO, by the end of President Trump's second term, gone or close to it. UN for sure is gone. CIA is gone. IRS is gone. Probably the FBI too. I don't think we should save it. We don't need the FBI. The states should take care of their own business, and maybe we have marshals, federal marshals. That's it. You know, look who got the FBI started. J. Edgar Hoover. Right there in that pedophile lane, it should have never happened. Based on our Constitution, the FBI should have never happened. You know, they used all of and they played up. There were a lot in the 30s, right? Everybody's broke. You got all these criminals out there robbing banks, you know, kidnapping, the whole 9 yards, anything they could do to make a buck because people were starving. And so it was, again, create the problem with the economy, and then the solution is, again, something else to control us. That's what the whole thing's about. As soon as you understand that these satanic pedophiles run everything, and virtually everything is connected. Iran, North Korea, everything we see going on around the world, it's driven by this agenda. They're not separate events. It's like when you finally realize that, the puzzle pieces fall into place. Because that's what it's like. I had a hard time for a while understanding, like 7-8 years ago, the whole McCain. How could McCain be turning on a party? That just never happened. You know, you never saw that. As from a high-ranking, whatever your party was, you know, opposing, you know, and somebody either running for the office or who was elected. And then when you factor in, well, he's a globalist, then it all makes sense. And the first thing you have to understand is there's no longer liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican paradigm. It's globalist versus nationalist / patriots. That's the new paradigm. And once you put it in that perspective, all the things that are happening around the world, you can see the motivation. Moving on. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the pedophilia, because we go round and round with this a lot because it's very hard information to hear, to process. I don't know if you've ever seen the festival in China where they tortured the dogs before they slaughtered them, and then they eat them. This is barbaric, but up until I think just last couple of years, they finally ended it in China. But they used to torture these dogs before they slaughtered them, again, because of the adrenochrome levels. Raises the adrenochrome levels in the blood, and it supposedly makes the meat taste better, makes it more tender, and the Satanist thing, it gives them a high and makes them live longer. So that's the whole point of the torture. They're doing it to elevate the adrenochrome levels. So then when they drain the blood, they got the adrenochrome in it. I think $8,000 for, I'm not sure the size. That's what it runs. Um, child sex trafficking was the number one moneymaker for the deep state. CIA was running operations. FBI was covering it up. 800,000 kids a year abducted in the United States alone. Think about that. 800,000 children a year missing. And politicians not saying a peep because they know. They know where they're going. The CIA actually has or had, I think they're getting shut down. I think most all of them in the United States are shut down. But breeding farms. They're breeding humans. When the babies are born, the cute ones get sold into child sex trafficking, and the homely ones get sold for the body parts. Organ harvesting. That's how sick these people are. Try and explain that to your neighbor or somebody at church and see what they think. Wait until this is on the news 24/7 worldwide, and that's what's coming. There won't be any hiding from this. You're not going to be able to ignore it. You're not going to be able to deny it. Everyone in the world is going to know what they've been doing. And not, oh, it's pedophilia. They're going to know exactly what they've been doing. They're going to know the details of the Hillary Clinton, Uma Abedin snuff video. And it's horrific. I didn't want to go into it. Makes me sick to my stomach to think about this crap. I mean, it gave me a stroke thinking about this stuff. And I was so anxious to get this done so that, because until the swamp drains, this still goes on. Now, it's been crushed. I mean, they're saving kids every day, and like thousands of kids. It's behind the scenes what's been going on. That earthquake on the 4th, earthquakes, China Lake, 4th and 5th of July. Those weren't earthquakes. That was a deep underground base that was taken out. I knew something was up when they announced on the 4th, in the evening of the 4th, oh, there's going to be another one within 24 hours, and it's going to be bigger. I've lived in California my whole life. I've been through a ton of earthquakes. Never has the media ever said there's going to be another one within 24 hours. They won't ever say that. There's a possibility there's going to be aftershocks. Some might be bigger. I mean, that's the story. That's the reality. That's what I've heard for 30 plus earthquakes throughout my life. No, but they guaranteed it was going to be within 24 hours and it was going to be bigger. And sure enough, 20-something hours later, there's another one and it was bigger. They were taking out the bases. They've had reports of these explosions all over the country. Our country, and for those of you who don't know, there's a freeway system under our country. You can drive from coast to coast underground. That's where these people were going to go for the nuclear war when they started with North Korea. They were going to go underground, leave us to fend for ourselves, and then after a year or so, they were going to come up and clean up whatever was left of us. That's how it was going to go down. That's why the military, they went to President Trump. The white hats went to President Trump way before the election and laid this all out for him. And they basically told him, you know, there's two ways this is going to go. Either you're going to win the election and it'll go much smoother, or you lose the election and there was going to be a military coup. They were never going to allow Hillary Clinton to take control of this country. They will not allow it today. If, God forbid, and this isn't going to happen, God's protecting him, but if he were to be assassinated or to be impeached, the Democrats are not going to get control of the government. President Trump's not going anywhere. So all of this other stuff, it's all theatrics. Everything that's going on right now is their last gasp at getting any kind of support they can. Most of you should have heard by now these focus groups that were going on in the first stages of the impeachment. They were trying to figure out what was going to work with people. They didn't care what it was. They didn't care what lie they had to tell. What's going to work? You know, did you notice it went from quid pro quo to bribery to abuse of power to obstruction of Congress? It was whatever the focus group said sounds good. That's what they threw out. That's how weak they are. They've got nothing left. They're trying to start a world war, not going to happen. Try to start a civil war. Virginia, not going to happen. Quit worrying about the Second Amendment in Virginia. It's all smoke screens. They're trying to get us riled up so we run into Virginia with our guns blazing. They're not going to take a gun. You think it's going to happen on President Trump's watch? Plus, the National Guard already said not going to happen. They won't do it. And the sheriffs have said they're not going to do it. So tell me how it's going to happen. The same thing with the UN. Oh, the UN's coming. Oh, there was an article. Well, when you research the article, it's not even an armed position. That position is to go into war-torn countries and to collect as many of the munitions as you can for the safety of the citizens who still live there. Has nothing to do with collecting guns. It's all people, either the deep state fanning the flames or right-wingers that are, in crazy town. You can't be a patriot and think President Trump is part of this deal. You can't. And you can't be a Christian and think he's a part of it. This is the guy who's going to be the driving force in eliminating abortion. Roe versus Wade is going down before he's out of office. Guaranteed. And the liberals, the deep state, the globalists have watched for 3 years now him destroy everything that they've worked for. Not for 3 years, for 300. Everything they've been working for 300 years, he destroyed in 3. So explain to me how he's either one of them or he's working with the devil or whatever else. He will go down in history as our greatest president. He'll be credited with saving our constitutional republic and the world. Because this wasn't going to stop with us. They had to get our guns to take us out, but then they were going for everybody else. They wanted 500 million people in the world. A world that today has 7.5 billion. They wanted 7.5 trillion. They wanted 500 million in the world. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out there were ill intentions there. All of the thing with the vaccine, GMOs, all the cures for cancer that kill us. We're going to find out they've had cures for cancer. There's no money in a cure. They'd rather torture us with chemotherapy. It's sickening. My brother-in-law went through it. He had pancreatic cancer, late stages. That's a 5% chance of survival, and they were putting him through chemotherapy. I mean, what's the point? The point was he suffered more than he had to, and that's what they drive on. That's what they thrive on. The pain, the suffering, the death, the fear. It's all part of the world they want. And that world is over, guys. that world is done. God is finished. That evil is going to be eradicated from the face of the earth. And when that evil is eradicated, they've been responsible for every war the last 300 years, every terrorist attack, every school shooting they've engineered. Look at MK Ultra. These are all CIA projects. That's another reason. I mean, the CIA's got to go. There's no room in this world that we're going to have for the CIA or the deep state or the satanic pedophiles. They're all going. So, the reason that it's important to talk about these things is because if we can't talk about them, the people that know the most about it compared to the general population, how are we ever going to get anybody else on board? We've got to get through this and get through the cognitive dissonance before we can help anybody else get through it. And so it's that time, guys. We are so close that everybody needs to really dig into this. I know it's horrific, but it's part of the job. And here's the thing. It's much easier to take it at our own pace, although that pace needs to quicken, than how the rest of the world is going to get this. The majority of the rest of the world, 70%, maybe more than that, is going to get blindsided by this. It's a tsunami. You're having your red pills force fed when it goes down like this, and that's, we try and bring people along as slow as we can and still get them through it. But imagining in a couple of days getting this dumped on you, because that's what's going to happen. Where we can take weeks or months even for some people to spread this out and take it bit by bit. Tsunami on the world, 24/7, worldwide, no hiding, no denying. We have to get into it. You guys have to get all this stuff down, and it's more importantly, it's so you're through it, so you've kind of come to grips with it internally, so that you can handle it and not be negatively affected by its impact. And so now's the time, guys. There's no. I mean, we can't put this off another 3 months, because in another 3 months, we're going to be right in the middle of it. Or, I mean, I believe in 3 months, there are going to be people that are already executed 3 months from now. They'll have some trials done. We're close. Days or weeks away, I think, by the way everything's going. The economy, by what's going on with the exposure, what they're letting coming out and what's coming out. It's close to the end. I wanted to talk about Litecoin a little bit. There's a lot of new people, which is great. I'm glad to have you guys all on board. But there's a lot of confusion around cryptocurrencies and Litecoin. So Litecoin is a cryptocurrency, a digital currency. You buy it from an exchange. We recommend Coinbase. That's where virtually all of our members have bought their coin. It's safe, it's secure, it's reputable. But having said that, it's an exchange. So in other words, they've got 100 million. I'm picking numbers for the argument's sake. Let's just say they've got 100 million in value. They might only have 10 million in actual coin on hand. Well, the problem with that is if we get into a volatile situation where all of a sudden Litecoin, let's just say Litecoin went to 20,000 in a couple of weeks, and then people, and it's going to be volatile for the next 20 years. Cryptos are going to be up, they're going to be down, but it's going to be constant rise. A lot of people will probably want to pull some out. If they get a run at that time when they don't have, and the value is skyrocketed and they've only got 10%, just think about what happens when 20 or 25% want their coins out. It could collapse the exchange. I don't think this is going to happen in the next couple of weeks. I think it would probably be a month at the soonest. From the time the collapse actually happens and everybody's talking about it and it's everybody's agreed upon what's going on, I think it's going to be month, 6 weeks at the very soonest something like that would happen. And it may not happen at all. But you don't want to leave your coins in the exchange. You want Ledger Nano S. You buy this from Ledger. It's like a thumb drive. That's where your cryptos are going to go. That's where your Litecoin is going to go. It's like $40 or something right now. This is where your cryptos are going to go. You get them in this, they're unhackable. The only way you're going to lose them is if you lose your seed code or somebody gets access to your seed code. Because you can even lose this, and as long as you have your seed code, you can retrieve your coins. So it's as fail-safe as it can get. The other problem people have is this whole digital currency thing. People don't understand it. It scares people, and trust me, I understand, because I wasn't, even though God showed this to me early on, I didn't buy in. And I kept buying my silver, which is fine. But if I'd have bought my Litecoin first, like God showed me, we would have been in a lot different position right now, as far as financially, going through the stroke and not working and now being on disability, and it's created a lot of issues, obviously. Anyway, I wish I would have listened up front. And how this works for me is it kind of, God, it's like following a lit path. It kind of leads me to things and puts them in front of me. And I ignored Litecoin at first, and I'm kicking myself. Cryptocurrency is the future of money. Think about the timing of this. At a time when the world is going to realize that banks and central banks have been stealing us blind for over 100 years, and the US dollar is worthless, and that's where the US dollar is headed. It's a fiat currency. Nothing backing it. Up until 1971, our currency was backed by gold. If we still had a gold-backed currency, we would not be in the situation we're in today. Because once they went fiat with nothing backing it, they could print as much money as they wanted. Before 71, they could only print as much money as they had gold on hand. It put us in this boat. When this thing comes down and people realize the fiat money system is a hoax and the banks are criminals, who do you think is going to want to put their money in a bank again? No one. No one will ever trust a bank again. Banking is done when this is over. Finding a bank in 5 years is going to be like finding a phone booth today. They won't exist. Cryptocurrencies make banks obsolete. You don't need a bank with cryptocurrencies. All over the computer, plug your ledger in your computer, and you transfer in seconds, buy anything. And adoption, where you're finding sites that take coins, that's going up like crazy right now. And once this all goes down, within 3 months, you'll be able to buy anything around the world with Litecoin. And you won't need to, and probably won't want to. You're going to have your physical silver to get through the rough patch. The Litecoin you're going to want to hold as long as you can, because that's going to have the greatest return on investment. There have been analysts who believe that Litecoin that cost about $45 today, it's going up, in 4 years, 2024, will be worth $3 million a piece. I think that number is conservative. There are only 84 million Litecoin in the world total. 64 million of those have already been sold. So that leaves 20 million left on a planet with 7.5 billion people. How fast do you think that last 20 million is going to go when the banks collapse? It's going to be like overnight. These numbers sound crazy, but they're really not, guys. There's calculations they use to estimate this stuff, based on how many are available, what's the price, how fast is the price going up. That's how they come up with these numbers. They say Bitcoin's going to be worth 12 million in 2024. So when you look at the difference, you're crazy to buy Bitcoin. A Bitcoin today is about $7,500 for one. One Bitcoin, $7,500. You can buy over 160 something Litecoin for the same money. So why would you buy Bitcoin if Litecoin is going to be worth 3 million? Do the math. The return on investment, I believe, for Litecoin is going to be better than any asset in the history of the world. Any asset up to this point and any asset in the future. There's never going to be, never has been, never will be another time like this. I mean, this is going to be the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. All of these globalists, these satanic pedophiles, they're going to have their assets seized. The ones that don't get wrapped up, people like the Rothschilds, I think they're all going to be executed, but all of their wealth will be confiscated. Look at the executive order from 12/21/17 that allows the government to seize the assets of any corporation or individual who's involved in human trafficking or corruption. They're all going down. Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, all going down. And they know that it's coming if they don't get President Trump out. So when you look at it now from this perspective and you figure in the globalist versus nationalist paradigm, and then figure in that these satanic pedophiles, people like the Pope, like I think there would be 3 former presidents that are going to go down with this right now, and everybody else involved, these are the people who run the show. They're the ones who came up with Agenda 21. And go to the UN website if you're not familiar. It's on the UN website, Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. And then all of it falls into place. The whole climate control, climate change hoax, everything that's going on around the world with North Korea and what's going on in Iran right now, what's going on in Virginia, all the same people controlling it. Um, Jeez, we're going to run late again. Okay, God. Anyway, getting back to Litecoin, I want to finish up here before we go too late. So here's my take on Litecoin. Even if you're not 100% convinced, you're crazy not to put $100 in. Even if it's $20, if things are tight, and I understand that, $20 could be life-changing. $20 today will be worth over $1 million, and based on these numbers, over $1 million in 4 years. Tell me when you could have ever done that in history. Never. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, a once in history opportunity. This is a gift from God that these prices for silver and Litecoin are today, when we're this close to the end, the prices are this low, basically $20 for silver and $45 for Litecoin. Gift from God. Don't ignore it. Don't miss the boat. You need physical silver and Litecoin to act as insurance from what you're going to lose. And everybody's going to lose something. Your pension, your bank account, your stocks, your bonds, money market accounts, 401ks are all going to be worthless. I was talking to somebody today, and they were mentioning, other currencies. In a normal world, that's a good move. When everything goes to zero, and this isn't just the United States things, guys, this is every country is going down. The EU's going down. China's going down. There's no safe haven in the system. You've got to have something outside of the system to fall back on. It's insurance from what's coming. And I love silver. It's been money for 5,000 years. It'll probably be money for 5,000 more. And you've got all of the technology coming that's going to require loads of it. That's going to drive, I think, the price past gold for silver. But nothing's going to compare to Litecoin. You got to have some. And again, even if it's $50, whatever you can do, get some bought. It's life-changing. There's, again, never going to be another opportunity in history. And that's why I keep telling people, for people that want to put others first, that want to pay it forward, you'll never have another opportunity in your life to have the impact you can have right now. Because every single person that's listening to this, you can, on your own initiative, out of your friends, make 10 or 20 or 30 millionaires that are not only going to be in a better position to take care of their friends and family when we go through this, but they're also going to be in a position to pay it forward when we go through the recovery. And most of the people that weren't prepared for this are penniless. We're going to be there to help. We pay it forward now by reaching out to everyone we know. We pay it forward in the rough patch with extra food and water. And then through recovery, we pay it forward with the assets we've earned with our investments. Again, I don't charge a fee. I don't take donations. I'm not selling anything. All I ask is, if you learn anything, if you gain anything from this, you pay it forward. That's what God wants. It's that simple, guys. Okay, let's see what we have for questions. And anybody who has any Litecoin questions, go ahead and throw them out too. Yeah, I'll tell you, it was amazing. I must have watched it 10 times today. It was so good. Just perfect. Like I said, you're going to see this video for a long time, guys. And it's a good thing. It really set the stage for what's coming. Yeah. Prince Andrew. Oh my God. That's how arrogant these people are, though. They think, it's real easy to be on point when they're, throwing you lob balls. But when they start asking the tough questions, you see how easily they fold. But they haven't got any tough questions for 20 years. Jerry got kicked off the chat. Well, yeah. Look at Tom Hanks' face. He couldn't believe what was happening. And man, they were talking right at him. He's one of the worst. Him and Spielberg. Remember the little girl? I think she was the little girl from E.T. Wait till you hear about that story. She died because of Hanks and Spielberg. Well, and guys, again, it's not liberal Democrats, globalists. Quit thinking of it in those, because that confuses people. These aren't Democrats. These are satanic pedophiles. These are globalists. That's who our enemy is. It's not Democrats. I know a lot of Democrats that are decent people who aren't going to go along with this crap. The driving force is globalism and satanic pedophilia. That's what glues them together. That's why all these things are filmed. Because once you're filmed doing this, you're never going to turn on them. Because can you think of anything else that would be a worse crime to come up on charges for than torturing and murdering children that's on tape, that's on a video? And that's why they're going to use military tribunals, guys. Because with the military tribunal, there's no appeal. When you are sentenced to death, as soon as that sentence is delivered, you're walked out and you're executed. There's going to be no saving them. Oh, this guy, I've always been a fan of Ricky Gervais. I love his material. It was brilliant. I don't think there's anybody in the world that could have done that any better. Brilliant. And the world is talking. And that's exactly what we need. You don't see God at work here? My God. Oh, man. Oh, the kids are, and again, it's partly our fault, guys. Yeah, all of the evidence contradicts their global warming position. It's all lies. The whole global warming, the whole thing is a lie. Well, I think the problem with Pelosi and Clinton is they drank too much of that blood. They're suffering. I think both Pelosi and Clinton are suffering from Kuru disease. Kuru. Google that. It's what cannibals get from infected brain tissue. Earl, how you doing? Jerry, what's up? People like that, not only don't they deserve to be alive, they will not be alive much longer. And just think about that. When these monsters are removed from the face of the earth, the world we're going to have, without that corrupt, no more. Well, I'll tell you, this could be the end of war as we know it. Because if you don't have these guys stirring the pot and driving the wedges between us, we're going to get along fine as a race. They're all, listen, the ones that are screaming the loudest, put a red flag on them, because that's a satanic pedophile. Because they're the ones that know they're going to be the first ones that go down when this all comes out. And they better do something now, because it's almost over for them. Oh, yeah. Lopez, well, I got to believe the way he's talking, he's got to be on this list, or he wouldn't be screaming so loud. Anybody that was innocent or off to the side of it would be ducking for cover, not screaming at the top of their lungs. Laura, how you doing? Lisa? No. Good point, Lisa. Listen, guys. When you buy your ledger, you buy it directly from Ledger. And I'm going to tell you why. This is a great question Lisa just asked. Can you get them on eBay? Yes, you can. The problem is they've already got the seed code. So before people got savvy, there were kids buying ledgers. And then back then, I think they were like $99. Just put them on eBay for like $25. So people were snapping them up. One guy lost, I don't know, I think it was over 100 grand in Bitcoin, because a month after he loaded his Bitcoin onto his ledger, they sucked it dry with the seed code. You want to buy your ledger from Ledger. Don't even buy it from Amazon. You can, and I think it's probably safe, but it's the same price. Buy it from Ledger. Ledger.com. Ledger Nano, Nano, S as in Sam. Ledger Nano S. Buy it directly from Ledger. Litecoin is anything but fake, guys. I mean, it's not fake for sure. I understand the arguments against it because I fell for those arguments. But the more research I did, and I've got 25,000 hours in now on all this stuff. The more research I've done, the more sure I am that this is where it's headed. So it's not just that God showed it to me. Go to my page. Go look at the articles and videos I've posted. You could spend a month easy and you won't get to all of them. I've got them on the economy. I've got them on Litecoin. I've got them on every subject. That's the best way to get the truth. And everybody, when you're starting this process, you waste probably, I don't know, hundreds of hours weeding through YouTube and the internet to figure out who's telling you the truth, who's a troll, and who's giving you good information. I've pretty much already done that. Anything you see posted that I posted on my page is you can consider pretty good information. And if anybody finds any holes in it, please get back to me. But it makes it a lot easier for you guys. Just figure out what you want to take a look at. Go to my page and find an article. Just keep scrolling. You'll find tons of stuff. Yeah, get it from the source. Get it from Ledger. I mean, it's easy. Everybody on tonight can buy silver and Litecoin, and take you 5 minutes. Maybe 15 on the Litecoin. 5 if you're computer savvy. Tessie's asking about soldiers. Well, there's a lot going on in Iraq. They voted, the Iraqi parliament voted for to have us leave. Um, I think we're probably going to go to Syria, right next door, to operate out of Syria. It's really, it doesn't mean anything to our troops. Whether they're camped out in Iraq or 20 miles away in Syria is really irrelevant. It's about being in a safe place and being there to be ready in case there's any more kind of deep state action. There's not much more. I mean, like I said, rocket attacks, small arm attacks. There's not going to be any nuclear exchanges. There's not going to be any world war. Mm-hmm. The problem is the world knows the game now. The white hats know what the black hats are trying to do. So then how do you do it? You can't. I mean, you can do the event, but it's not going to have the reaction that you're hoping for. It's like when they tried to get President Trump to send rockets into Iraq when they shot our drone down. Well, he did the exact right thing. He went to his crew and said, what are going to be the casualties? And they told him probably 100 people. He walked away from it. Why kill 100 people, innocent people, because our deep state shot down our drone, and that's exactly what happened. And so nothing happened. And it fizzled out. They thought they had a big opportunity there. And you're starting to see there's nothing they can do that's going to trigger people into either the Civil War or any kind of world war. China knows what's going on. Russia knows what's going on. We know what's going on. Israel knows what's going on. Who's the world war going to be between? Explain that to me. It's like, they're coming to get our guns. Tell me who's going to do it. It's all a distraction. They're trying to distract you from Ricky Gervais and the Epstein case, the Nexium case. So it's all good, guys. The troops are good. There's nothing to worry about. Quit focusing on that stuff. Focus on waking people up and getting them prepared. That should be 100% of your focus right now. If you want to be a part of this, if you want to try and do some good for our country, focusing on Iraq, focusing on Virginia is not the answer, because nothing's going to happen there. It's a waste of your time. It's like the people that are working on the 2020 election right now. He's going to win 90% of the vote. Now think this through. Everyone should see by now the satanic pedophilia is 100% real. It can't get any more real than what happened last night. The general public is starting to see it come forward. They're starting to ask questions. It's getting easier and easier for us. This is happening, guys. If this is happening, we need to be prepared for it. Us worrying about the Second Amendment isn't helping what's coming. Focus on the important things. Focus on the things that we still have control of. We don't have any control over exactly when this is going to happen. All we know is it's coming. What we do have control of is how we spend our days, what we make our focus. And I challenge anyone, tell me something you could be doing at this point in time that's going to help our country or the world more. You can't, because I've racked my brains for 5 years thinking about this stuff. There's a method to our madness here. This comes from a lot of analysis, from looking at what's happening and what's going to come. The things we're doing are life-changing for the people that get involved. For generations, life-changing. Think about it. When everybody else is broke, When all the assets they've counted on their whole lives are gone, the only people in the world they're going to be able to buy are going to be people with Litecoin and precious metals. I mean, if you've got gold, it's going to work. Or cryptocurrencies, the valuable cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, gold or silver. If you don't have something in that mix, you're going to be in the same boat with everybody else, and you're going to be selling your assets to survive. Virtually anything you want, you're going to buy for pennies on the dollar. And you're going to be doing people favors by buying their things because they're going to need the money. I mean, please, if somebody's got something that's going to have a bigger impact, let me know. And I don't think there is. And I've been putting this challenge out for months now, and I haven't had one person come up with anything that's close. So that's probably the biggest question I get asked. When's it going to happen? Well, God's the only one that knows for sure. President Trump, I don't think even knows for sure, guys. It's going to happen on God's time. We've got to take the mindset, and trust me, I've wanted this thing to be over for 4 years. It's going to happen when God's ready for it to happen at the perfect time. And we've got to adjust to that. And take it as a blessing. And every day that we have until then, put it to good use. Don't waste it. Either work on your final prepping for yourself and your family and your friends, or be out there beating the bushes trying to wake everybody you know up. Red pill as many people as you can, as many prepared. It's the most important thing I think any of us could be doing right now. Natalie, how you doing? Becky, hello. Well, yeah, it would be. My brother's saying that, it would be okay if you're one of the 500 million. No, because they want 500 million to feed off of. You're like their livestock. That's what that 500 million is. To do the menial task that the AI can't do and to feed off of. Body parts, adrenochrome. Torture and murder. Does that sound like a world anybody wants to live in? The world is going to be horrified when they find out what the globalists had in mind for them. And can you imagine being a huge supporter of globalism because you heard Bush's speech about the 1,000 points of light, that crap, and then you... Yeah, it's chilling. Yeah, I mean, that's how they... I mean, they're indoctrinated, these kids. They train them to accept this abuse. And it's part of the deal. Sick. Chuck Schumer, Jerry Nadler, dead. Pelosi, dead. Feinstein, dead. Try and name someone. Booker, dead. Kamala Harris, dead. They won't have a president. Who's going to run? I think Bernie's going too. Who's going to run? Who's going to be there? That's the other thing. That's the other reason that I don't think it can go on very long. They won't allow this to go past spring. They still want to have an election in 2020. They won't want to wait until summertime when we're a couple of months away from the election and crack this nut. It won't work. It has to happen earlier in the year. So that's why I'm saying there's just too much in the timetable where it can't go on much longer, guys. The cat's out of the bag for sure. Putin knows about this. Putin has been laughing at our mainstream media for 8 or 10 years. Putin knew where this was going. Hell, he threw the Rothschilds out of Russia. He threw the central bank out of Russia. He was one of the few world leaders who's on the ball. And that's why they definitely didn't want Putin and Trump working together. Because they knew. They both knew. The deep state knew that Putin and Trump knew the story and knew that they wanted them gone. This is the ultimate battle of good against evil. I believe what we're seeing right now played out mostly spiritually for the most of the world is Armageddon. I think that's what's happening right now. I think when we elected President Trump, before President Trump, Armageddon was going to be in the physical. It was going to be brutal. We were going to go through, the world was going to be one big Hiroshima. It was going to be a nuclear wasteland. That was going to be Armageddon. And we changed the course when we elected President Trump. What was the first thing that he did? His first priority was eliminating human trafficking, and specifically child sex trafficking. And look where we are right now. For most people, they think barely that a shot hasn't been fired. There's been a lot of shots fired. You just haven't heard about them. But most of the general population is going to be spared that horror. It's all good, guys. There is no downside to this part, to the satanic pedophilia being exposed, the economy collapsing, and the swamp being drained. There's no downside. All this has to happen. Yeah, focus on what you can control. You can't control what's going on in Iraq. You can't control what's going on in Virginia. You can control who you're reaching out to, who you're trying to wake up. Focus on that right now. Work on those skills, honing those skills. We're all going to be overwhelmed with this, guys, because for those of us that have been speaking out for a while, when this actually happens, when it hits the news, the mainstream media 24/7, your phones will ring off the hook. You got to be ready for it. And how you get ready is by beating the bushes right now. Okay, listen, this whole thing with Pelosi and the war powers, ignore it. Listen, Pelosi can pass whatever bullshit she wants to in the House. It's meaningless. Because you know what happens then? The Senate votes on it. The Senate, do you think the Senate is going to, a Republican-held Senate, is going to vote against the president? If they did, then he's got to sign it. This isn't going to happen. It's a distraction. Quit focusing on the stuff they're trying to distract you with. You're playing right into their hands. Believe me when I tell you, there's nothing else you can do think about it. Can you help what's going on in Iraq, Iran, Israel, Hong Kong, Virginia? No, you can't. Do what you can do. Anybody that's here is here because you were called by God. Trust me, nobody's here by accident. The people that are here are supposed to be here, and this is the job you're supposed to be doing. This is God's work. Yeah, North Korea is a non-issue. Iran is really a non-issue. You're going to see a regime change there shortly. The people are rioting in the streets. They have been rioting in the streets for weeks. Their economy is upside down. Inflation's starting to get horrible. They can't last another month, 6 weeks. It's not going to go that long, guys. These guys are done. Okay, let me make sure I haven't missed anything I wanted to cover. I think that's it, guys. I think we covered a lot tonight. Stay focused. Don't fall for the distractions. This is part, we've talked about being physically prepared, mentally prepared, and spiritually prepared. This is part of the mental preparation. If you're being distracted, you're not mentally prepared. Put the blinders on, get on task. Facebook, email, phone calls, whatever you need to do to reach the people you care about, that's what you need to be doing. Forget about everything else. I shouldn't be getting any questions about Virginia, except for if you're brand new. I'm getting the same questions over and over again, guys. The answers aren't going to change. Focus on the positive things we can be doing now. Don't play into their game. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight, guys. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 1,000% in control. We'll see you tomorrow night at 5. God bless.